Hello everyone and welcome back. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can use mocks inside your unit tests. You can find the source code of this tutorial on GitHub. I will put the link in the description of the video. So what we are going to be unit testing is this reservation system. This has one external dependency, the booking service, and it has one method, reserve async, that takes in an amount of beds. And what this method will do is it will get a list of all the rooms that have at least that amount of beds, and then we will filter that list to get the first room that is not reserved. If this room is not available, it will throw an exception, and if the room is available, then we will call the booking service again to reserve that room with the correct room ID. And then that will underneath will update the room entity and save it in the database and so on. So in order to unit test, we have this two test cases. The first one is going to verify that when there are no rooms available, it will throw this exception. And the second one is going to verify that we actually reserve the first room that is not reserved. So if we want to set up a reservation system, we also need a booking service. And this booking service also needs a database context. Now, these are external dependencies, and in fact they are a database dependency, and we do not want to be relying on that inside our unit tests. There are many things that can go wrong. The connection can to the database can drop, and then all of your unit tests will start failing. While that's not none of the actual behavior inside the reservation system actually broke, but still all of your tests will be failing. It's also very hard to manage the states of the database to try to get your unit tests to work correctly. So in general, you should never even try to do that. So what we are going to be doing is to use a mocking library so we can get rid of this booking service. So let me quickly show it. It has a external dependency on booking, database context, and then there are methods to get the rooms, and then there are methods to reserve the room. So first off, what we need to do is we need to add a NUnit package. So we need to look up mock with a Q. It's the first one, and we need to install that NUnit package. Then we can come back here, and what we are going to be doing is add a mock of the booking service. So a private read-only mock of the booking service, and then I can call it booking service mock, and basically I will make a new one of that, and I can just do it like this. So now we have our mock, and instead of using it like this, so I'm going to keep this, going to comment it out, and instead of doing it like that, we can easily now just use the mock and call here the object, which you can see is an iBooking service, like this. So for our first test, we need to verify that the get rooms async returns an empty list, basically, so that the following if check will fail and it will throw the exception. So let's get started with that. So what actually do we want? We want to assert that this thing is going to be throwing a exception, and we already know what kind of exception. It's going to be the no available rooms exception. And then in here we have our method that we want to invoke. So that's going to be the reservation system dot reserve async with let's say 10 beds, and this should fail. That's what we want to fail. So in order to do that is we need to call the booking service mock, and in here there are some popular methods. For example, what we're going to be using is the setup, and in here we can set up and we can tell it that so the actual mock object, so our actual object is going, when we call get rooms async with these 10 beds, then we can return async. And what I'm going to be doing real quick is put these on new lines so you can all see it. But basically here what we need to return is it's like this, enumerable empty, and this will return an empty enumerable of room type, and that should allow us to fail this method. So if we quickly are going to put a breakpoint here, now I can debug this test, and what you will see is that once it starts up, we are here. So let's quickly go over and check the rooms are null. So that means that this one will return null because it's default, and then all the rest will fail because this will go inside here and it will throw the exception. So we can quickly run it just to make sure that it's still green. And then you will see it's actually green, and the test here is passing. So next up, what we need to do is make sure that we are reserving the correct room. So to do that, what will happen is, so basically here we have our reservation system. We will reserve, let's say 10 rooms again. And we need to verify that it actually called the reserve room async. Now it's very easy to do that with a mock. So first off, what we need to do is make sure that the get rooms async is going to return at least one room that is not reserved, so that the happy pets will succeed here. So first off, let me create some rooms. So I'm going to create a new room. Basically, I just need to tell it how many beds there are. Let's say there are 10 beds, and that this is reserved. Yep, this room is reserved, and I also need to give it a room name. Let's say room 1, and then I can clean this up, and I'm going to say reserved room, and then I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to be saying empty room, which is going to be the second room, is room 2, and this by default is going to be not reserved, but I can just make it like this, so it's very clear. And then basically what needs to happen is basically the same thing here. So I'm going to copy and paste that for now. Let's say when we call this method with 10, so the amount of rooms is going to be 10, then instead of returning empty, we are going to be returning a list. So the first one is the reserved room and then the empty room. So this will now be working. And we also need to verify that it was actually calling the method on the booking service, because otherwise we could comment out this line and it will still say that it's succeeded, and we don't want that. So this is very easy to do with mocks. So what you can do is just call the booking service mock again, and then here call the verify methods, and basically the same thing like this. We just say that we want the mock reserve room async methods with our, let's say, 10 rooms to reserve, or 10 beds to reserve actually. We want to verify that, and we want to say that it's times once, so we want to verify that it's called at least once, and it should not be the 10 but actually called with the empty room room ID. So like this. So now we are sure that it's being called with the correct room ID, which should be the empty room. And we can now also debug this. So what we have here is we're going to be having two rooms, our first room, which is reserved, and our second room, which is not reserved. And then you will see that the available room is going to be the second room, which is not reserved, which means that we will not be throwing, and we will go call the correct reserve room async. So we can now stop debugging, and we can run both these unit tests again just to be sure. But as you can see, both are now passing, and we are sure that everything is correctly tested using our mocks, and we are not relying on any external system. So that's basically everything I wanted to be showing in this quick tutorial on how you can use a mocking library called Mock. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.